Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Scott Garber back in the saddle of the Profluent Sports Podcast, where we are highlighting founders, investors, executives across the sports business landscape. Today, we're excited to go ahead and have another enchanting conversation around the organ that sits between our two ears. I'm excited to bring the founder of i-Brain onto the screen, Konstantin Sonkin. My man, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have a great conversation.
Yeah, me too. And we had to put a pin in our initial conversation because we were getting too far too quick. And this is going to be a conversation that I think we can all learn from, the application within sports, but it really bleeds over just into a human conversation. And I think the foundation of it all is the future is now, which is such a cool thing to say. So, Konstantin, before we go too far, give the listeners a little context to who you are and what that journey was like to building i-BrainTech, and then we'll build from there.
Thank you. I'm that person who always dreams. I hold PhD in the intersection of AI and the brain. And since I remember myself as a kid, I always said, oh my God, we have to understand better how the brain works. And then when I was in college, I had that opportunity to study AI in the very first baby steps when we really modeled the brain of a fly. And since then, I had opportunity to witness that evolution of AI. But understanding of the brain is still very limited. And then that was the pivotal moment for me. We must take this deep tech from academy, from papers to real world. We need to bridge this gap from invention and real world innovation. This is my mission is about, this is i-Brain is about how to make deep brain science and make it to serve people and to allow them to exercise their mind as casually as physical training.
I love it. I love it. And so let's go ahead and let's lay a foundation for what you've built. It's everyone now is saying they have an AI component within their ecosystem. It's very exciting to learn, from folks that have been building in it for quite some time. Talk to us a little bit about i-BrainTech and what exactly you guys have created with this, neuroscience powered, brain controlled video game. I'm so intrigued to learn more.
Imagine you have a game that you play with your mind only. You don't have any remote control, nothing. You visualize actions in all details. And the better you visualize them, the better your avatar on the screen executes them. Imagine you're on a false shot line, right? And you're preparing it's end of the game. All the crowd, all the pressure is on you. And you're kind of taking the ball. And what you're going to do, right? As an athlete, I think you can relate. You need to take the ball in your arms, close your eyes, and imagine this is going to be the shot. Boom, boom, boom. Don't change your mind. Don't overthink. Allow your muscle memory to do the work for you. Why? Why it works? Because when you visualize actions, your brain does exactly the same planning as when really moving. So our brain is actually a predictive machine. It helps us with our next action. So when you visualize and when you really move, your brain does exactly the same work. And we converted that with the AI into the brain gene. So now you can visualize actions and see immediate real world feedback how well you're doing that. So you can close this loop and actually exercise centers in the brain responsible for visualization and motor control. The same way as you go to the gym, you put reps, you see how your biceps grows. The same applies to the brain. You can track how your muscle memory grows in intensity and in volume because more and more neurons being involved and more connections established. How we pick up the intensity. We allow our users to wear a special baseball sensory cap. It has a specific strategic brain sensors located above areas responsible for motor control. So when millions of neurons plan an action, we can really pick up that electrical information like a smartwatch, right? And convert that into the control, into the spirit gaming environment. I call it training environment, but of course it can be also considered as a game. So you play a game, you wear a sensory cap, you play a game with your imagination, and you develop centers in the brain responsible for performance in sports.
Wow. And it's been so neat, to watch the evolution of how we think about, well, one, the EEG machine was just never really like compact enough for us to be able to go ahead and use this on a commercial side, right? And it was very expensive. So I'm curious, like from a commercial lens, I think there's two things that I would like to talk on, right? The hardware side of things. And then because we haven't spent as much time focused on the brain, there's a big education curve, right? And so when it comes to even just putting the sensor on, I know there was a ton of sensitivity with EEG machines. If we didn't have the nodes in the right spot, we would get alternative readings. How do you guys think about building a business around this with such sensitive technology?
Wow, I didn't know you're a neuroscientist as well. I would be much deeper.
I'm just a sponge. I'm just a sponge.
Thank you for that amazing question. This is the crucial question because, on one hand, EEG, which is electroencephalogram, is being known for almost a century. It's been widely used to detect epilepsy seizures. This is widely accepted in clinic. But what's the problem? Why it can't be used to actually train the healthy brain? Why only abnormality detection? And the answer for that is twofold. First, because you need to make this so easy to use. Not 20 minutes of trained operator installing and applying the gel and all the sensors. Just one movement that you wear a brain sensory cap, press the button, and you're connected. This is number one. And we made tremendous work with our partners all around the world. Our sensors are being manufactured by suppliers of Mercedes-Benz and our electronics from Taiwan and Texas Instruments. So it's really like top-notch, cutting-edge hardware component required. But that's not enough. Because even when you have very usable sensors, in order to train your brain, you need to detect and decode brain signals in real time. Because if you can only read and then post factum report on how well your brain works, then it's information, but it's not actionable. You can't do anything about that. But if it's in real time, then you can really say, oh my God. So you can take your brain under control. You can direct intensity of your brain activity in specific areas. You can build these areas. And this is all about our intellectual property. This is just 15 years of research converted into their kind of AI-driven algorithms that would allow that type of training. I hope I answered your question, but in a nutshell, it should be very fast and cool to wear and neat from the algorithm standpoint, so it can decode brain signals in real time.
And I think, from our lens, we've been very reactive to brain development, to brain trauma. We have to wait until something traumatic happens to then try and diagnose it. And you use the epileptic, like, why don't we do this and establish baselines early while the brain is malleable, and instead of waiting until later when we have some traumatic, experiences and then trying to diagnose it. And so, what I think, one thing that's been interesting as I learn about the company is you guys are taking a very strategic approach, it seems like, at academies and youth sports. And I'd love to understand sort of the thesis behind that. I have my own sort of hypothesis, but I'd love to hear why going downstream makes sense, both from a human level, but also from a business level.
Wow, another very deep question. And I've been thinking a lot about that. And I'm speaking at various conferences, from top level physician symposiums all around the world, as a kinetic sports medicine, to more business oriented AI forums. And let's take a step back a little bit and understand where we are at the moment. We're in the ecosystem where AI has the potential and most probably will free us from most of our jobs, right? It is becoming more powerful cognitively than any scientist in the world at the moment. So the only way for us to compete and be relevant is to invest in our cognitive abilities. And I would argue, and I think it's commonly accepted thing that our potential of this organ is immense, right? It is still the most efficient computation unit in the universe. AI systems is not close by any fraction of percent to the efficiency of our mind. So we must invest in development of young generation, of our children, because we can't be blind anymore. It's like ignoring everything and anything we know about our body, like eating all the stuff and exercising in complete darkness without any feedback. It's not responsible behavior. And this is what we're doing with our mind. We don't know what information, what knowledge, what training is helpful, what our strength and what our weaknesses. We don't see that because, to your point, until it's broken, we don't even bother to go to scan our brain. So we don't know how to help children with ADHD. We don't know how to help children with autistic spectrum, but also with healthy brain, how to empower our children to be more attentive, more focused, increase their memory capacity, increase their reasoning skills. So that, I feel, as a practical and applied neuroscientist, it's my responsibility to make this type of technologies validated, scientifically validated, available for mass market, because we don't have any time to waste. Otherwise, we're just irrelevant as species. Other people, like Elon Musk, argues that it's over. We just need to connect AI to our mind and fuse them. I would say that at the moment I have to strongly oppose that, because it is absolutely dangerous to connect two worlds, neither of them we truly understand. We can't connect our brain and AI without better control and better. It's not time now. I think both technologies are amazing. We have to dive deeper in each of them, right? Even though our brain is not technology, but it's biological, efficient computational unit. And once we have clarity, then we can synergistically combine them, but it's not already my world. It will be decisions of our children.
Wow. Yeah, we're gonna continue to go a little deeper if that's okay. I mean, this is like I think these become the human elements that, we'll turn the corner and talk about how we express them through sport. But from a philosophical lens, I've always been curious, our brain is a survival side of it, right? Like we're programmed to go ahead and continue to just put ourselves in safe positions. So as we understand our brain more at a younger age, it could lead to more free flowing conscious thought, which may tap into a higher spiritual or a more of a mind versus a brain, right? And so I'm curious, from societal structure, we've built these constructs around being able to go ahead and program against predictive, reactionable behaviors that our brain will tell us to do. So I'm curious, as you bring this and democratize access to understanding one's brain and tapping into more of a conscious mind as a byproduct, how does the commercial market adopt that? Is it being celebrated? Or are you getting sort of pushback because we don't want to shake the status quo of how we've built things?
Opening a new segment is always quite difficult. First of all, existing technologies and existing approaches and status quo is always has a tendency to keep right, and to protect it, right? So when you bring something new, it's always scary. But also it attracts innovators, it attracts challengers, right? If 3 years ago I would tell you that when I knock on the top sports franchises' doors and say, guys, you know that success in sports is dependent on the cognitive performance, at least 50%, if not 90%. Of course, you have to be fit, but what's the difference between this excellent athlete and this excellent athlete? Why one is winning more often? It's all here. So championships, it's here. We all know that. But they say, buddy, Konstantin, I appreciate you taking the time, but I can't go to my general manager or to my CEO and say, you know what, now our guys should be smarter, so they should educate themselves. It's too much. They have to run fast on the field, and we hope for the best. Coach will educate them. Right? Now, it's not the case. Now, if you don't have cognitive modality, in your athlete development and return to play, you're behind. Like everyone is speaking about that, it's like you're just really behind. So there is a tendency, at least in sports, in the most competitive ecosystem where all human performance technology being tested, right now there is definitely acceptance on that. And then from commercial standpoint, when we're gonna have this smartphone moment, when we're gonna have the first iPhone completely challenging the way we communicate. It's not about the phone that it's so cool, it's better ringing. Not at all. It opens the entire ecosystem of apps and value in your pocket. The same here. The moment we break in and this cap or whatever other brain wearable by iBrain or by other competitor, non-existent at the moment, but definitely thinking about that, would be present on the market. It's not only about that specific value that iBrain can provide for visualization training. It's all possible brain health applications that could empower underrepresented, right, people to develop themselves, to get accepted to top schools and colleges. This is the real transformation moment when we unlock our brain potential. And I don't like these big words because we always trying to unlock it with education training, but now in a more data driven, in a more meaningful and controllable manner, so we can actually empower our children to achieve much more.
I love the way you position that, and I believe with empowerment comes leadership, right? Like that's the next side of this, and I think the brain has been this elusive organ because when we, like you said, when we work out, we can see our muscles grow. We can't understand neuroplasticity like we could see plaque build up on our teeth, right? And I think it's very interesting to be living in a moment in time where we're able to take something that has been seemingly abstract in universities and research laboratories and now bringing it into commercial application. And so I'm curious, as we sort of shift into the business, you guys have gotten some incredible backing behind you from tech stars. Why did you choose sport over other vertical markets to come and test this technology and bring it to market?
We've been thinking a lot. See that type of technology be transformative in various dimensions, including healthcare, including education, also military, also so many others. We really thought deeply, where is the best ecosystem for a technological startup to start the journey? And I think it's very much in line with what you believe in Profluence. Sports is actually amazing business segment. It is saturated with the ambitious professional people who want to be the best, who want to invest everything and anything in their power to win. So where else we should test our technology for human performance? Of course, in sports. In addition, we are all about better movement, better decision making. This is all the essence of sports. So we started there in sports, and after having partnered with their top sports clubs and leagues already in 12 countries around the world, we are transitioning into physical therapy applications, because not only athletes want to recover efficiently after long-term injuries and they can exercise their mind while they can't actually move, but also other people also want to recover faster after surgery, orthopedic procedures, etc. So we're transferring there and expanding there, right? And then we also see that after training with iBrain, young athletes report, and their parents sometimes they call us up and say, we can't believe that, but my kid became better at school, and my teachers calling me asking what I've been doing with my boy or girl, because it was so visible, the change. And they say the only thing my kid is doing new is iBrain. So most probably it is because of you guys. And so of course, because you train your brain, you train your biceps, right? You use it in sports, but also you're strong in other activities in life. That is the nature of the cornerstone of what we're building. And I think it is very important from a business standpoint, appreciate the power of sport for business development.
Yeah, it's so neat, so few times we actually get to understand and meet the founder and the CEO as they're building the ship and navigating this. And, sports, for all the reasons you've laid out, is this incredible testing ground that is almost serves as a wedge that then touches military and healthcare. And it's this, it's a way less, there's a way lower barrier of entry to go ahead and test these emerging technologies. So I have a couple more questions and then we'll start to turn the corner. I could talk to you for days about this, but I have to try and keep it somewhat tame. So as you guys continue to grow, right? Like, I mean, you have this incredible, what looks like a swim cap that you put on and it has these sensors. Will you continue to iterate the product, or is that in its final state? What does that look like as we zoom out maybe 5 years? What does that ideal state look like from the wearable device to make this like commercially scalable?
Thank you. Already now, the whole product is this. This is small, and we have started shipping that in selected locations. It's invite-only beta. We still work in professional settings, right? On the top level, CE-marked, FDA-cleared sensors. But we are about to release complete different look, sexy baseball cap with sensors seamlessly integrated, and you have your mobile phone in your arm, you have your cap here, and no one can't even imagine what you're doing. They think they're browsing your Instagram, but you're actually training your mind. You're muted.
Yeah, sure am. And I said, I think that's what's most exciting to me, right? Like, because all of the tools are becoming so much more accessible, there's a very pessimistic view right now, Konstantin, on where it is. But I think the optimistic side goes, well, now we're able to compress time and now be able to go ahead and iterate on these both hardware and software journeys to bring what really needs to be in market and now get to prototype and then get to commercial viability a heck of a lot quicker than we maybe were able to even a decade ago, never mind, a century ago. And so I'm very excited to see where the product's going. Now talk to us about, as you continue to scale the company, sports is going through an interesting moment right now. Obviously, North America has a big spotlight on it. What's your go-to-market strategy? Like, is it geographical? Is it top-down? Is it bottom-up? I'm always curious how you think about penetrating the market while continuing to evolve the product.
So go-to-market becomes very simple from our standpoint. And the reason for that we already developed product for soccer, basketball, volleyball, a few other sports under development, plus rehabilitation and education. So now we have that 7 products in front of us, and we have Gulf countries crazy about sports. Northern America, right? So careful about both sports and healthcare. We have Japan with their own way of doing business. We have India, which wants to elevate their population through technology. We have such a strong global interest from big players. So this is what we're building. We're building global partnerships, right, with the selected, respected partners who have unfair opportunity of market consolidation. Those who supply dozens, hundreds, thousands of excellency centers in their countries and who want to say, we were the first who brought real cognitive technology in my country. This is because of me, Bill, Xiao, John, right? Our children have the opportunity to succeed in life and win more games and etc. So this is where we are from the go-to-market standpoint. We focus to be very technological company, to have the core, to have the API, to empower others to fulfill their dreams and business potential using their position. But I want to highlight one thing: shorten the time dramatically. But when we speak about the brain, you can't hack it with a brute force AI just yet. Why? Because all our brains are so different. Your brain is being developed through your lifetime. So your patterns are so different from my patterns and from others. This is why we are in business. And I think that i-Brain now holds the largest database of brain signals in the world. So the moment we really move to the next step, this is going to be the moment when we can develop brain training technologies much faster. But that requires fine-tuning of algorithms. It took us just 15 years really to research and to arrive where we are. Of course, to replicate that, it would be faster, but still, it's not hackable by AI at the moment. I would say AI should evolve dramatically before it can be able to decode and understand the brain activity.
Whew. Whew. All right. So I got one more question. This may be a little out there, but this is just how my brain works. So we're going to go with it. We're watching a lot of new sports come online and iterations of existing sports and then sports I could have never thought of. I'm curious right now, we talk about brain in a training forum. Do you ever see a world where we will play brain games and we will have modalities that are accurate enough where it's not just relying on physical attributes, but we're able to go ahead and create scenarios and competitions based on just one's brain that completely removes the human body from it? I think that's my last question for you.
Activity. I think we have chess,
Yeah.
somewhat relevant in that
Yeah.
domain.
Very fair. Yep.
But definitely, what we can see now, and we did that already in World Cup, a Club World Cup in the States, that we allowed fans to compete using brain sensory technology with athletes and between themselves. Who is the best visualizer? Who can reimagine the iconic moves of their favorite teams to their highest accuracy so they can compete and win more matches? Definitely, sports is becoming very digitalized, right? And fan engagement is so important. So that is the big future. But I want to highlight, I think all digital components of sports should not undermine its physical excellence, right? We still, I think, should aim to move very well and to think very well under pressure together, not to prioritize one or another. I always say, let's do together, because all our body is beautiful and important.
Like any orchestra, when you find harmony between all of the moving pieces, you get something that is much bigger than just one instrument on its own. And I think that this conversation puts a spotlight on that. And as a father of young children, and I hope for all of our listeners, this conversation puts an optimistic lens and also gives you an opportunity to lean in and learn a little bit more about your brain, which I think will make us better people, stewards of society, and innovators to help shape the future of where this is going, both in sports and as a species as a whole. So, Konstantin, from the Profluence team, man, what you're doing for both the sporting landscape and the world, and we're so grateful for it, and very excited to continue to watch the journey. Last little plug, I hope I get on that short list, and man, I'd love to be a beta user and see what's going on between these 2 years. So we'll talk about that offline, but thank you so much, brother, and look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you so much.